All right, mates, welcome back to the channel. Bert is doing really, really well. I want to do a little quick video on the road to drop off some baits, obviously, for the Upper Bay. Pretty stoked about that. I'm not going to reveal you the baits until Sunday. Out of fairness to the mates. Requesting the baits for this weekend's tournament. Kudos and wish everybody well competing in the event coming up this weekend. But I wanted to do a video shout out. Got a comment and I actually took it offline to discuss with the young angler who has just started out on YouTube and is competing in the college series. And so the question was, like, listen, hey, what kind of advice can you give, a young angler or someone just starting out on YouTube, from your perspective, given how quickly this channel's grown in the last, 6 months. That was a really interesting question. I was kind of flattered by it because I'm not a really big YouTuber by any stretch of the imagination. But we have grown the channel pretty quickly to 7,000. And depending on what niche you're in, and that's really it on YouTube. YouTube's kind of funny. It's a funny place. I mean, TikTok's even crazier. In TikTok it's a different format, it's a different content level. Everything's kind of like it's like a 15-second, 60-second, 3-minute, or now maybe up to 10 minutes on TikTok. Doesn't really provide you really the platform like say a podcast does, to really like deep dive into stuff, to educate stuff. It's really just like a burst of, hey, that for me, what I told him was, I think you should have both. I think that you should use your GoPro and on your boat, and or anyone with a kayak. I mean, look, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, of YouTube channels of individuals fishing from a kayak. I mean, nowadays, there just is. And so, what I was saying is like, take your videos that you're making, that you're using a GoPro or anything like that, Tacticam, whatever you're using, and splice them into 3-minute shorts or 1-minute talks. And that way you can double dip on that, to grow your social media platform, and you can drive traffic to both platforms. And so, I mean, that's an easy way to do. You're already doing the video, for example, is how I explained it. You're already making a video on the water, you on your boat, you're catching largemouth bass, you got an event, whether it's teams or individual angling. You've got the footage. So just take that footage and then create a whole bunch. All your catches should be a short video for TikTok, or Instagram. Instagram's the same thing. You could do it on Instagram. But then as far as like YouTube, use that as more of your platform, like my recap for my event, or my pre-fishing recap, or things like that. And the advice that I gave him basically was like, for my experience, and it's just my experience, and there are tons of experts on YouTube that can go over the algorithm and all of that. You can just go down a rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland with all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, your content is king. And then once you start with your content, how you drive that content to your channel is a whole nother rabbit hole. But just start with putting out good content and find your niche, and determine the level of which revelation is kind of what I call it. Determine the level you are willing to reveal to your audience. How much juice are you willing to reveal to your audience about your angling? And I get into this with people a lot because I get a lot of messages from people, and I am not I do not consider myself, nor will I ever consider myself, a professional angler. And doesn't matter whether I compete in an event, and I probably will. Next year, I'll probably do maybe 1 or 2 Hobie events, just because a lot of people are asking me about like content in that area. Just from what my experiences would be. Like, I've done KBF, and I'll do more KBF, Lake Murray, definitely, Potomac River, definitely, maybe one other one next year. I'll do MLF, BFLs, do some co-angling maybe on Bassmaster, because it's just content. That's where you can provide content, and provide experiences for people. But the difference is I'm not a person who's going to withhold things unless I'm asked. Like, for example, if I'm fishing with a guide or I'm fishing with another mate on the water who's competing in a tournament and I have video footage of him catching 20-inch smallmouths on the Susquehanna, like happened this year, I'm not going to put that video out for public consumption, out of respect for that. But for the most part, I will reveal, if you go back and look at my videos and why I concentrate on picking your niche, in terms of me, I focus on the Mid-Atlantic. If you look on my Facebook page, I'll post the river gauges, the water temperatures, the clarity of the water, the forage, what I'm seeing on the water, what baits I'm using on the water, all that. I'm revealing it all. I'm revealing all of the juice. Some people like that, and the people that do like that are people that are recreational anglers and people who just have the joy of fishing. There are people who are twisted who don't like that because they feel it threatens their outcome on the water for a tournament. And my YouTube channel is not going to threaten your outcome, because every day on the river is different. Every day and you see this all the time with tournament anglers, is you will find, especially in kayak fishing, you will find how they slay them in pre-fishing, and then in the tournament day, it dries up. Right? All the time. Happens all the time. Because the river's changing every day. So it doesn't matter if I put out a video a day before or 2 days before or the week of, pre-fishing Susquehanna, pre-fishing Potomac River. I got one event coming up on up in Pennsylvania on a lake. Nakamixon, I guess, is what it's, I'll do pre-fishing video, because at the end of the day, okay, you still got to catch a fish. Like, at the end of the day, we could be throwing the exact same baits, and you could catch them, and I may not be catching them. Or I could catch them, and you cannot catch them. So at the end of the day, I don't really buy all those excuses about that. I don't really think confident anglers are really bothered by people doing reveals or fishes or baits or what's happening on the river going into a tournament. I think insecure anglers get really upset about it, that aren't really confident in their ability to perform. That's my opinion. I know people disagree with me. But, I'm willing to reveal 95% of information. Okay? I'm a holistic angler. No, when I say holistic, that's not yoga, okay? I mean, like, the totality of your river experience. That's what I'm concerned with. The environment, the water, the conditions, the forage species that no one ever really talks about. I talk a lot about forage. Most people don't. I do plenty of stuff on shiners, on minnows, on bullheads, on everything. I'll do stuff on, the crayfish, all of that, their life cycle. Why do they start out brown, green, and then this time of year right now, which I'm just dropping baits off, I can tell you why are people looking for an orangey brown colored pattern crawl crank, right? Because it's September. And the diet for that forage species has changed since spring to summer to transitioning to fall. And what they eat is often expressed in their shells, right? It's just understanding everything that's in your river. And those are the things I cover about that a lot of people don't. As far as content for like tournament angling, you'll see that a lot. There are a lot of people with channels, but a lot of the tournament anglers, and this is what I told the young anglers, like, you've got to decide your level of revelation. Like, you've got to understand that, like, most channels of tournament anglers do not reveal juice. You've got to decide whether or not you want to be that angler or not, and take that on. And just for your audience, this is what I'm seeing on water. This is the baits I'm fishing. This is the baits I use in my event. I can't tell you how many times you will see coverage of events where even people that are sponsored by cereal baits don't even mention their sponsored bait that they use to got them their 15-pound bag or 18-pound bag. And that's the audience is, that's, to me, if I was the sponsor, I'd be picking up the phone and being like, bruh, you just caught an 18-pound bag on the upper bay using our soft plastics, and you didn't even mention us on the stage at the tanks, right? Okay? I mean, you know, you've got to understand those guys have made a conscious decision that they are not going to reveal, you know, stuff during a tournament, pre-fishing, or sometimes even after a tournament, that they don't even reveal it. You know, the ones that provide the most level of content and education in moving people. What I mean by determining your kind of channel you want to have, do you want to move your audience? What I mean by moving your audience is provide them information that does one of two things. It moves them to try something, moves them to buy something, moves them to go fish somewhere, or most importantly, causes them to think. Doesn't matter what your topic is. Could be reading eddies, or reading ripples, reading ledges on the river. Could be finding structure, locating structure, how to fish structure, maybe on a reservoir. Could be controversies in the fishing community, in leagues and organizations that, whatever. You get a lot of that on my channel, right? Op-ed, okay? Causing people to think after they've watched your video. That is how you will build your subscriber base. It's causing people, moving people to something, getting them to think about and critically think about something. That's your content-driven audience, and that's what they want, and they will let you know. And also, interacting with your audience is key. Key. Somebody comments on your page. You reply to their comment. Thank them for their comment, especially on places like TikTok, Instagram, that kind of stuff. Okay? That's how you will get, like we've done. You know, I've done it in terms of how the growth of our YouTube channel. I think now we're over 7,000 subscribers. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything. Like in the big scheme of things, I can tell you people who have far less subscribers than I do that I subscribe to because of their content. Because they're absolute hammers when it comes to content. And it could be like, what do you want to do, right? Like, for example, if you're in the kayak space, kayak positioning, how to position your kayak, right, on the river. Like, so many people do kayaking videos. It's like, you know, how to buy your first kayak and what all this other stuff and best trolling motors for your kayak, and all that is equipment related, which is a niche. But not enough people do, okay, how do I fish my kayak? How do I use my kayak? How do I position my kayak, right, in the river? How do I fish my kayak? If you're a boater, like I was, and, you know, and still am, and you want to transition to a kayak, you have to change everything you do. You even have to change your equipment. Been my experience. Okay? So when I co-angle, or I go out on the boat, or I'm going to fish as a co-angler, I'm not going to use the same rods I use to kayak fish. Okay? I'm just not. It's math. It's physics. And I talk about that on my channel. And a lot of people have responded to that like whoa, no one's talking about that stuff. Right? No one is. Okay? No one likes math. It's kind of dry, right? But it'll make you a better fisherman if you're a kayak angler to understand the trajectory, the physics, the line of your bait to the water, the noise your bait is going to make once it lands in the water, how your bait is moving across the top water from a kayak is totally different than how it's moving from the back of the boat or a boater. It just is. It's physics, okay? Some people push back and be like, oh, that doesn't matter. Okay, it does, okay? The trajectory and the physics of everything matters, which impacts your rod length, which impacts the line weight, diameter of the weight of line you're going to use from boating to kayaking. It just does. And so there's a little niches in that how much you want to reveal, how much juice you want to reveal, will dictate how many more people will gravitate to your channel. If you want to have a channel where people just tune in to watch you, it's what I call videography, which are awesome. People just tune in to watch you catch fish. You're not talking in your video, but you're catching fish, but you're not educating. You're not moving anyone. Like, you're not moving them to do something. You didn't show them how to utilize a technique. You didn't communicate to them even where you were fishing on the river because you don't want to spot burn your spot, right? Again, how much juice are you going to reveal? That is key to starting your channel and understanding where you want your channel to go. People are going on YouTube to find information. If you're an angler, people are going on YouTube to find tips, techniques, and tricks or hacks that they can utilize themselves to be better. That's why they're coming onto the platform and they're doing their searches. That's the other thing for your content. Always follow your searches. Always look and see what are people searching for on YouTube in your niche, in your community. Okay, if it's going to be boating, if it's going to be, young angler, it's going to be creek. I was asked the other day on what YouTube channels do I follow? What YouTube channels do I recommend? And basically it's mostly regional channels that I will follow. Obviously, I subscribe to Tactical Bassin. I love those guys. I subscribe to Fishing the DMV because it's in my region. I think Thomas does a great job with podcasts, having guests come on. I subscribe to the Little Stuff, which is Jeff Little is a freaking hammer when it comes to educating people about rivers. He's a holistic, in my opinion, he's a holistic angler. He's not competing in these tournaments. He's not looking to get a check cut to him. Okay? So therefore, he's an educator. He is out trying to move people to think about the river differently. Okay? And to understand the environmental and the sustainability aspects that drive fishing. Okay? Sustaining rivers, making rivers better. Why, for example, did the Shenandoah shit the bed years ago? Why did the Upper Potomac shit the bed in 2018? Because of the massive flood event, right? It's coming back. But making people understand how these things impact a fishery and how your behavior on a fishery impacts said fishery. How you handle fish, how you treat the fish, how you treat your ramp, how you treat your environment. Are you respectful? All of these things are important things. Now, they're dry stuff that people kind of like, so that hinders, subscriber growth because it's very, very niche-y, right? Very technical sometimes, right? But it's important stuff. It will educate you and make you a better angler. Those are the guys that I gravitate to. I follow anglers from the boater side, as well. I follow like Fluke Master on the kayak side. I think he's got like 500,000 subscribers now. Things like that within the context of the kayak community and the boater community. Certain anglers do really, really well with their content. John Cruz does great. I like David Dudley. I like to follow, I'm from Virginia. I like to follow Virginia anglers and the DMV, District, Maryland, and Virginia, for the most part, because that's where I fish. And that knowledge I can apply to how I fish, to be more successful. And that's what I think people are going for. So when you're looking for that, you want to create your content from that perspective of what kind of content do you want to watch? Do you just want to watch some guy fish, with his GoPro on and just catch fish? That's great. Or do you want to be educated? Do you want to get something that you can use from baits, how to hack baits from a custom bait maker? My two biggest things for me, if you follow my channel, that I'm passionate about is bait making, custom bait making, and river fishing. That's really it. And then I also do the op-ed stuff, commentary stuff on things that are happening in the boater community, like, say, Bass Elite Series qualifications or MLF making changes, the schedule, or KBF, Hobie changes. Will Hobie go to a motor next year, the year after? All that stuff is just opinion op-ed, right? In the community. And so that adds a little bit to the content, just so it's not all technical and educational. There's also some lighthearted humor and there's education involved wrapped up in the op-ed piece. So that's really all it is, in terms of driving your content, and consistently do your content. Remain consistently authentic in your content. Drive your content. Keep it going. Don't stop. Always cover things from the short side to the long podcast side to the short. For me, I find 5-minute videos rock. 20-minute videos, it's harder to keep people engaged as long for 20 minutes, but like this one. But they're dirty too. And then your shorts, like I said, use those video clips of you catching all the fish. Those are crazy right now on TikTok and YouTube. And they will help get you more subscribers. But that's just it. I'm glad we're at 7,000. You know, next we're heading to 8,000, hopefully here before the end of the month. We've got some more great content coming up. And I just appreciate everybody that's following the community and is participating. If there's anything you want on the show or anything you want me to cover coming forward, you know, you can always comment. You can always hit me up. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or on YouTube. Thanks, mates.